This week, we're taking a high level view of the entire weekend of events and highlighting a few of our favorite moments. This is the Good Game, Bad Game podcast. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Good Game, Bad Game podcast. I'm your host, Spencer, and with me is a man who's added only one game to his wish list. It's my co host, Mike. Mike, take it away. What's the game?
You're blindsiding me here. Borderlands 4.
Which, thankfully, did not make an appearance at all during this entire weekend, at least.
Isn't that incredible?
From the events that I watched. There were a few other, I think like PC Gaming technically had a showcase. I didn't watch that one. And the Future Game Showcase, I only started it. I didn't even get through that one. But that's technically not under the Summer Game Fest umbrella, which is specifically the events that we'll be covering. But yeah, shout out to No Borderlands. Before we get into the events, how you been? What have you been playing?
Punching my mic before I answer that question. Sorry. Oh shit. Okay. So on Switch 2 launch day, I was able to get a Switch, so I'm just gonna unceremoniously throw that out there.
Hoorah!
Yeah, just walked into my Walmart. Nice lady was like, "Yeah, we've got one more," and then I bought it. So I guess we can do impressions of that at some point.
Oh yeah, we absolutely should.
But I've played a very, very marginal amount of Mario Kart World, which is pretty sick.
Yeah?
Yeah, I like
your
it.
very, very first impression is it's sick and fun.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I can get my stamp of approval to send to the editor.
Yeah, I feel like I mean you've only had it for not even a full week technically yet, right? And so
yeah. And guess what? I haven't been home for most of that week, so
I'm pausing so people can be shocked.
You think, okay. So my philosophy was I knew I was gonna be gone this past weekend. So I was like, okay, I'll go see if I can get the Switch too. And since we're traveling, perfect. It's a handheld console. We can bring it with us. I brought it home and I was like, fuck, I don't have a case. I was like, and I had gotten everything out of the box that it shipped in. And I'm like, I'm not gonna go back to 10-year-old Mike who would get a console and put it in the box and travel with the box. I'm just gonna leave it home.
Yeah, that's tough. Wow, that was almost in unison.
Yeah, umming together. Just like the old days.
Love it when we together.
Yeah.
I feel like probably that first recording of July maybe would be a really good time. That way you've had it for almost a month at that point. You can kind of have your thoughts in order for a good old deep dive of first impressions, and maybe if I'm lucky, I'll also have my hands on one.
Yeah, I do want to give one just out of the box impression, I suppose, in that it feels incredible. I don't necessarily associate Nintendo with making premium or quality feeling consoles or hardware in general. It's so nice.
Not a part of Feel Good Incorporated.
Not typically, no, but the Switch 2 is.
And you mean you mean in the you're talking in the handheld form. It feels good?
Yeah.
Or just the controllers themselves?
No, the entire console.
Yeah.
Holding the Switch in your hands and, of course, the little Joy-Con holder they give you, it is what it is. I wouldn't play that long term. We didn't get any other accessories with it. I mean, like I said, we didn't have a pre-order. I just knew I was going to be going past a Walmart really early in the morning. I was like, I'll check.
Yeah.
But yeah, just the console itself feels premium. The way the Joy-Cons connect feel premium. Yeah, it's nice. I do like that it's bigger. My hand still cramps when I play it in handheld mode. So So I'm starting to think that's a me problem though.
Yeah, you might just be cursed.
I need to just go get some ligaments rearranged or something.
There you go. Now you're thinking. Go get some elective surgery so that you can be more comfortable playing video games.
Yeah, it just gives me tiny hands.
I know you're not terminally online, so you probably didn't see this, but in case you have, I'm gonna ask: did you see the post where somebody posted that like they and their partner had each gotten a Switch 2, and they also like bought pizzas for like a game night, basically? Did you see this? Have you heard about this?
And then the pizza guy stapled into the top of the pizza. The receipt.
No,
I think I did see that.
no, no. The receipt didn't go into the pizza. No.
Well, the staple from the receipt. He stapled the receipt to the top of the pizza box and it went through and pierced the cheese layer.
No, but crazy that was happening to Switches. No, people got really butthurt about somebody talking about having a Switch 2 and a pizza, and they were like, the internet was doing the internet thing and was like trying to dogpile and say that they were like entitled and everything like that. It's like, I don't really think an adult spending their money, and like on one hand, I'm not gonna sit here and be like $450, that's nothing. But on the other hand, like, you know, if you're good with your money and have disposable income, $450 at the same time is not that much money.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I think that's the case kind of for all gaming stuff, right? And really any sort of hobby activity, right? Like it is simultaneously. No, groceries are kind of a necessity. But I think you can like flip flop and say that like something is equally expensive, but also not. It's just all a matter of perspective. And so it was really funny to watch people.
Why can't we just give them a hell yeah?
Yeah, that's when I saw it. I said hell yeah.
2,000 comments of hell yeah.
Yeah, that was my reaction. Was yeah, it was like maybe don't put the Switch 2 on the top of like the flipped open pizza box because there might be grease there. That was only my reaction. But like, I'm not gonna yuck somebody's yum. Come on. You want a greasy console? Go for it.
Hell yeah, it's gonna get there eventually anyway.
And then it will officially not feel good.
No, it will not. I can't imagine that. I feel the Switch 2 feels like it's going to retain grease just because it's kind of like that matte coating.
Yeah.
Just feels like it's not going to do well with that. But, you know, that's up to the owner to decide if that's how they want their Switch 2 or not.
Yeah. RIP all
you know, one thing,
greasy hands.
I do want to give another impression. I feel like I've mostly seen people talk shit about the Switch 2. I don't know if it's just to get clicks. I'm assuming it's just to get clicks or to get idiots like me to talk about it. But
yeah,
I've been seeing a lot of complaints and like people complaining about the screen, especially, and how people can charge or how Nintendo can charge $80 for IPs that are the same, like generation after generation after generation. And I personally think the screen, like I know it's not OLED and you know, people think a console, a portable device needs to have that to be valid.
Mm-hmm.
The screen's gorgeous. It's so nice. I don't understand the nitpicking. Like you bitch about wanting deeper, inkier blacks that the OLED screen can give you. But then at the same time, you're bitching about how you've played the same Mario game for 40 years.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, so you want the same game. Like this would all be okay if you had like pure black pixels on the screen. Got it. Okay. I don't know. I've seen a lot of complaining.
Yeah.
And I think it's just poor bitches.
You know,
we can't afford 2 Switches and a pizza.
2 pizzas. But yeah,
2 pizzas and 1 Switch. Okay. That's a better ratio. That makes more sense.
It was 2 Switches and 2 pizzas.
Oh, 2 and 2. Oh, now I see why people are mad.
They were really throwing a 2 party, if you know what I'm saying.
I don't.
Me neither. I think God, it's so annoying because this is like I mean, it's literally what you said. It's probably just people saying stuff to get you to then talk about it, and so it's like I don't want to give validity to these people, in a derogatory sense, because it just like it gives attention and everything like that. But yeah, I mean, more than anything, I think just this past weekend altogether, with all these events and stuff, just really showcase that people just don't want to enjoy, like, the way that they get enjoyment out of games isn't by actually playing games, it's by just like hating on them.
Yeah.
Which, don't get me wrong, that is how I am with Call of Duty, but that is really the only game that I enjoy by hating.
We're gonna talk a lot about hating games in the next hour. So
I certainly am not going to be talking a lot about hating games.
No,
I'm talking
no,
about this entire weekend. You know, all in all, was great, right? Like, I love this type of shit because, like, you know, don't get me wrong. There's plenty of stuff that I won't touch, and there's plenty of stuff that I, you know, didn't particularly enjoy about some of these showcases. But then at the same time, it's just like, yeah, you get to see so many different unique things, and then you just see people like bitch about it, and it's just like you just aren't going to be happy with anything. So as it pertains to the Switch 2, I've also seen a lot of negative stuff about it. You know what I also saw today, or technically last night? The Switch 2 has already sold 3.5 million units. It's the fastest selling Nintendo console like so far. So I honestly, like, you're either full of shit and, you know, talked like a big game before the Switch 2 came out saying like it's not worth it and all that, and then went and bought it anyway, and then have the audacity to complain about things. Or by those metrics, we're probably just hearing a vocal minority because, yeah, I mean, I feel like I saw plenty of people say that it is a better Switch and that is exactly what it needed to be. And it's like, yeah, there you go. So,
yeah, I mean, frankly, that's true.
right. I mean, and that's what so many people were crying for, you know, like 4 years ago, when rumblings of a successor started to like begin, right? Like halfway through the life cycle of the first Switch. And what did people say? All they need to do, don't try and do anything too crazy, Nintendo. But now you have the audacity to bitch that they didn't like switch it up enough, pun intended. Anyway.
Yeah.
It's frustrating. It's just it's so frustrating to just constantly see like a slew of negativity just around gaming, like all the time. Just all of it. It's just like,
yeah, but it's everything.
yeah.
It's not just gaming.
No, you're right.
Unfortunately, but like unfortunately, gaming is one of those things that's supposed to just like inherently bring people joy. And so the fact that that gets targeted so frequently,
Yeah.
kind of just makes you want to bring console wars back. At least that was in good spirit.
Yeah.
For the most part.
Kind of. Yeah, so more than anything, head down, trudge on. The only complaint that I could see as valid for the Switch 2 so far is the fact that really the only game that is like going to motivate you is probably Mario Kart World right now. Which that's a fair complaint. But I've also seen plenty of people say like it's great to be able to play Cyberpunk handheld, you know, if you don't have a Steam Deck. And it runs fairly well, it seems like. So,
and maybe if people weren't friggin' nerds that played games so fast, they'd have a whole library of games like me.
Yeah, I mean, that is also a fantastic call out. Additionally, there's plenty of games that like either recently released that, you know, are upgraded for the Switch 2. So like if you haven't gone around to getting them, like you said, then you get some benefits there. or you can revisit some games even because they'll play better. So, yeah, I guess at the end of the day, stop being a fucking nerd.
Yeah. Yep.
All right, so you got to play a little bit of Switch 2. What else? Anything else?
No, that's not Super Mario Sunshine. But I did attempt to play it because I thought it was going to be on the GameCube emulator for Switch 2. Was not.
Damn.
Yeah, that was weird. I thought there was going to be more games at launch for that, but it's just Wind Waker, Soul Calibur 2. I don't remember what the third one was. But kind of expected more games there at launch, but that also could be because I had expectations and didn't do any research.
You know what though? I am trying to like think back, and I vaguely do remember them only showcasing and then like doing like the whole like carousel of like games that will be coming to it. So I wonder if they did kind of set the expectation and we kind of just blew by it.
Very well could be.
Yeah, I'm trying. I can't fully remember, but all right. So you haven't started Super Mario Sunshine, and this is a great way for me to segue and talk about myself. I also didn't play more Red Dead Redemption, so I feel like let's go ahead and say that we have until August.
I like it.
To finish our quarterly games, which now becomes what do you call thirds of a year? Periods, like in hockey.
Sure. Yeah. Trimester. I don't know.
We'll figure it out. But yeah, so yeah, that's that. I did play, however, something besides MLB, and instead was just an idiot and didn't play Red Dead. Yeah, I started. I don't think I talked about this last week. I started playing Blueprints.
I think you did. You at least mentioned it. I don't know if you started it or at least said you were going to start it.
Well, damn. Well, I've put a decent bit of time into it since our last recording. Really, really fun game. Really unique game. If you don't know what it is, it's a roguelike where you are in a mansion that it's a grid floor plan that I want to say is 9x5 or maybe 10x5. It's 9x5. And just the bottom, middle, and top middle rooms are filled in, and you have to like open doors and fill in other rooms, and you get buffs from rooms. And the way your like quote unquote life works is that you have only so many steps. So every time you enter a room, you lose one step, and you start with 50. And you can again through some of the rooms get buffs, but you can also like set yourself up with rooms. Some rooms won't have doors leading out of them, so you have to kind of be strategic about your placement and stuff like that. And every time you open a door, you can only place one of 3 rooms. It's a very, very chaotic way of explaining the game. It's a lot of fun, kind of surprisingly, and I don't mean that in like a negging sort of way. I just feel like it's one of those things that you maybe don't expect to be fun just from hearing it, but when you actually are playing it and like thinking and trying to figure out how to best set up a run, it is very enjoyable. So and it's super casual too. Like you don't have to worry about fighting or combat or anything like that. Like you really do just maneuver and think. So it's kind of nice to kind of have a casual game to play instead of baseball, I guess. But yeah. So would recommend if you haven't gotten a chance to play Blueprints. If you have PlayStation Plus Extra, it's on that service, and if you have Game Pass, I want to say it's on that.
Sounds interesting.
It is. It's very interesting. Some people were saying Game of the Year potentially, like
Okay.
nomination. I don't know about that, but maybe. Certainly will make an appearance or two at the awards. I'm sure. I don't know if it has game of the year feel though for me, but yeah, and that's it. That's all I've been playing. So let's talk some events. Um, just to kind of help set expectations. Mike and I talked about we're gonna basically do like a high level overview of our general thoughts about I would say the four big events being the State of Play, Summer Game Fest. You can technically lump Day of the Devs into that, but Summer Game Fest, Day of the Devs, and then the Xbox Showcase as like the quote unquote big four from the Summer Game Fest umbrella. Basically, just going to give our overview, maybe tie a letter grade to it if you have one, and then pick like one or two games specifically from that event that we're like the most excited for. And then over the next couple of weeks, we'll probably dive a bit deeper into some, if not all, of these events to kind of give some more in-depth analysis and thoughts on the events themselves. But with that said, first up was the State of Play. That was technically last Wednesday, I think. But unfortunately, we record on Wednesday mornings typically. And I also think, if I'm remembering correctly, your one prediction from the weekend was your prediction or your hope to see more of 007?
I would consider it a prediction.
Okay. And yeah, literally like the night of us recording, your prediction immediately came true. So I just want to call out that I swear to God, we record at like 7:30, 8 a.m. So we were a full 12 hours basically before that happened. I promise.
And my prediction certainly was not that it was going to be part of the PlayStation Showcase.
Right. Yeah. That
I did not
was
expect that.
definitely a surprise. Also, my prediction was revolving around the State of Play, and specifically that I felt like the State of Play was going to be like the weakest part of the weekend, and I would say my prediction did not hold true, personally. But
I agree with that.
Take me through your overall thoughts on the State of Play.
I was pleasantly surprised. I think I had the same opinion that you did, that I wasn't really expecting a whole lot,
Right.
which like hard to knock. I wasn't expecting the 007 game to be part of this, but that's kind of an awesome move by PlayStation to get that partnership. Which I feel like IO and PlayStation have kind of always been a little buddy, like not really in any meaningful way, but just like in the association kind of way. Like you think Hitman, and the fact they did like a VR version for PSVR,
Right.
and it feels like every time they release new content, it's kind of like got that PlayStation branding to it. So good for them. Good for PlayStation. And that kind of makes you think, like, I don't know, when this game comes out, I guess I assumed I was going to get it for Xbox, but I also don't really think about having a PlayStation. But seeing that it was part of the PlayStation thing, it's like, oh, there might be content there that they're going to do. So, I could end up getting that for PlayStation. I thought that was good. I was expecting to see Wolverine.
Yeah,
Which we didn't see anything of, right?
Nope.
So that was a little disappointing. I don't know. Like, I feel like that's getting to the point where they need to say something.
Yeah, I would agree.
Like, you don't need to give a date. Don't even give like a general region. Just like, where is it?
Is it still alive?
Right. 'Cause it's starting. I know it is. It's starting to feel like it's not.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, no, that was I think my primary disappointment with it. I'm just going through the list now. Uh,
And I would say to interject real quick, I would say that was probably a lot of people's biggest complaint was
mhm.
like a lack of first party um stuff from PlayStation, and that's certainly what I expected, and that was kind of why I assumed it would feel like a flat or like lackluster event. Um, but that doesn't necessarily like it's not a guarantee, right? And again, there was like I think there was just a very nice mix of games that were shown, right? Like to kind of allude to Summer Game Fest a little bit, like it's very sexy to just show off a plethora of Souls likes now, right? Or to show off I mean honestly roguelikes are like very much have a bright light on them.
Mhm.
Or
And
a battle royale or an extraction shooter, right? And so very easy to just like show those same four games over and over and over again. And at the same time, like with when it comes to like PlayStation first party stuff, you also kind of know what you're getting from them. Not in necessarily a bad way, but like this was nice to see a lot of fresh and like fairly new ideas, to some degree. I don't really know how else to kind of describe it, but again, there's just it felt like there was like a nice mix of games with like different gameplay overall, and yeah.
and there's one game in here that I'm actually really excited for because I feel like at this point in my life, these are the kind of games that I like can really get into and like stay into and just put a ton of hours into. Um, but Karen, I'm really excited for.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we've seen that before, and it comes out in November, so I'm assuming yes. But um, God, those just games like that
Mm-hmm.
where it's just kind of like exploration. This has like a survival aspect to it too, which is kind of cool. But I'm really excited about that game. Um, and then I think the other thing, which I kind of want to take a second to talk about, is the Thief VR game.
Yeah.
That kind of fell out of left field, right
Yeah.
field. Um, I'm excited for it. I also have an affinity for VR. And I think that's like a really cool game to have in VR. Like I feel like that could be super immersive. And of course, the first thing I saw after I watched the PlayStation Direct was people talking shit. It's like I'm so excited there's a new Thief game, but hate that it's VR because I'll never play it. It just like I don't know. I know I can't change people, but just try it. Like
Right.
I'm not saying you have to go out and buy one, but like just go demo it somewhere, see if you even like it before you're talking shit about it.
But also like I don't know. It's like what are game companies supposed to do, right? Like they got to figure out ways to adapt and try new things themselves, right? So like I don't know. It's the base expectation. I think this is where I saw a lot of negativity around this, like all these events of like everything needs to be for me.
Mm-hmm.
Everything has to appeal for me or else bad. And like
Right.
I don't want every single one of the games that were a part of the showcase, but I still enjoyed, I think, getting a chance to see and hear about just about every single one of them, you know?
Yeah.
Um, and I think it's fine to just know that you can like look at a game and be like, wow, it's great that Thief is getting like, a new game.
Right. It's been so long. It's been 10 years.
Yeah, it's personally, I don't like VR. I can't do VR, so it's a bit of a bummer that I'm not going to be able to experience it firsthand. But that doesn't mean that you aren't there. There's a plethora of ways to still experience, games and everything like that, and
Yeah.
just it continuing gives hope that like a Thief 2 could happen, right? Right, because there was never a Thief 2.
I don't think so. I think it was just the one that came out in like 2013 or
Yeah.
something like that. But
Yeah.
I hate that every game is trying to be a Soulsborne ripoff. I just it's so boring to me. I hate that everything is fantasy. I mean, it's really like it really makes me not excited for these kind of events because I just know I'm going to be disappointed. It doesn't mean they're bad games. It just means that it's not my taste, and that sucks.
Yeah.
But I also had tons of years where every game that came out was just like perfect for me.
Right.
So like it sucks for me. I'm not going to say they're bad games. I'll say I'm not going to play them, or I didn't think the event was personally good. But I think I can identify when an event is good for the industry because it's what's popular.
No, 100%.
So fuck me for getting excited about a VR game, I guess.
No, not at all. You have every right to be excited. Fuck everybody else for not just recognizing that not everything needs to be for them.
I think I have two more call outs for this. One is just every time that I see a game that's like pretty much from the Giant Squid team, I get excited just because it feels nostalgic to me. But Sword of the Sea looks really cool. Again, don't know if I'll play it, but like Journey and some of their other games that they had that are just kind of like in this style.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Even if I don't play it, I just love seeing it.
Well, that game is effectively PlayStation's version of Play It Day One with Game Pass. That'll be a day one game on the PlayStation Extra tier. So kind of a cool opportunity to, at the very least, maybe get your hands on it and to try it out.
I don't think I realized that, so that's exciting.
I think it was a part of the Extra tier. I don't think it's like one of the
top level.
I don't think it was. It definitely wasn't the premium level. I don't think it was the like base level where you get like 3 free games every month. I don't think it's like one of those free games. I'm pretty sure it's like you got to be on that like that middle tier or whatever. That gives you access to like the overall catalog of games. Again, basically their Game Pass. So I think if I remember correctly, it's on that. And yeah, I think it. I also think it looks really cool. Love that art. I love the art style that they typically roll with. Yeah.
And then just in the spirit of keeping things moving, how do you feel about this renaissance of like all these fighting games now? I feel like that was the theme of the weekend was everyone's got a fucking fighting game now.
Yeah. Just to kind of jump the gun a little bit. I mean, I think like the Mortal Kombat, like the whole Legacy collection or whatever they're doing. I'm a sucker for these, like, you have no easy way of playing these games in any form of modern setting. Let's bring them forward. I'm a big fan of it, so like I'm a sucker for it, and them doing that whole collection, really cool. The Marvel 4v4 fighting game that they kind of did a bit of a deep dive on. I love the aesthetic, the overall like care and attention to detail that was put into it. Really great to hear about. The problem with fighting games though is like I'm probably not gonna play them.
Yeah,
just because like unless they like put like a pretty like in-depth story into them, like I think Injustice did, if I'm remembering correctly. And I know like Street Fighter and Tekken and Mortal Kombat do typically have some type of like light story mode, but unless it's something like really in depth, like the appeal is definitely more of a competitive scene. And I just, I can't, don't have the desire to try and like get good. So,
Yeah. I just like, to me, this feels like it's getting into battle royale and extraction shooter territory where it's like you already have, and this is, I think, even worse in my opinion, because these fighting games have been around for 40 years, 30, 40 years,
yeah,
you know, and they're still good. Like Mortal Kombat is still good. Street Fighter is still good. Tekken is still good.
yeah,
And there are other ones like, I don't know, it's not as popular, but like Killer Instinct had a run in the Xbox One era, and like that was really good. But that was an old game that was just kind of brought back. It's like, how many of these do we need? Like you really like the hero shooters. Like it's like they're all trying to get into esports. Like you really
yeah,
think you're going to over what already exists?
right.
It just feels like wasted resources. And especially like the art style was cool, but it's not really bringing anything different to the table. I mean, I don't know how you could. I don't know how you innovate there, and I don't know that you need to.
Yeah. No, I definitely think that's a fair take. Um, yeah, I definitely worry about the landscape in which you're bringing it into. I think that's kind of what you're driving at. Like
Yeah.
there's already such established things, and that doesn't necessarily mean nothing new should be attempted, but
But we
yeah,
had like, I
we
think
saw a bunch
one
of
per
others.
showcase this weekend.
Yep. That Invincible one I think was during Xbox.
Yeah.
Man, was I so excited when I was seeing Invincible. Great show if you haven't watched it. And I was like, oh my God, tell me we're getting like an open world, like action adventure, you know, with an upgrade system and everything like that, like effectively Spider-Man, but it's Invincible. Tell me we're getting that. That'd be sick. Oh, it's a versus,
Yeah.
fighting game. Like, well, that kind of sucks.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's going to run its course probably pretty quick, and just as quickly as we're seeing a lot of people attempt to get into it, we'll see some of them unfortunately fall flat, and then we won't see any outside of, again, the big three basically.
I think other than that, that's all my opinions on PlayStation.
Yeah, let me see. I think the only thing that I specifically want to touch on was, as far as a game that I thought looked really neat, was, let me just find it again. Tides of Tomorrow. Um, Pretty cool in the sense that while you're playing the game, you can like follow another player who has played
Yeah.
already and like make different choices in the moment from what they did. So you can like see what they did and like just continue to try and follow that path. But then you can also have choices to like break off from that path is what my take was. Kind of neat
That game
because,
looks really cool.
yeah, one of my favorite things about those Telltale games is how like after you finish a chapter, it'll say like 90% of people, helped Clementine in The Walking Dead.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, what the fuck were 10% of people thinking? But like, yeah, and then you have the opportunity to like go back and change your decisions and stuff like that. But like, I don't know, kind of having that in the moment aspect of like, oh, I got to make a decision. Oh, I'm just going to keep following this person just seems really cool. So I'm really excited to see more about it and like how it actually practically plays out. But yeah, I thought that looked good. And it's the same people who did Road 96, which I played last year and really,
So
really,
you
did
enjoyed
enjoy.
that.
Yeah. Yep. That was a lot of fun. So yeah, I'm pretty excited for that. Again, just kind of like a fun, unique game amidst the current era of gaming that I feel like we're in, and so I was really excited to see that. But yeah, overall, I think you touched on a lot of stuff, and I think I got to interject with a lot of my thoughts already. If I had to give it a letter grade, I'd probably give it like a B or B plus. It was solid.
Yeah.
Not amazing, but I definitely walked away from it in like a perfect scenario of like there were definitely plenty of games there that I was like, I do want to play these. I'm excited to see more about these and stuff like that. And at the same time, there was plenty of stuff that I was like, I'm probably not going to touch that. And again, that's fine. And honestly, ideal more often than not because the backlog is just ever growing. So,
Yeah. And I think there's a case even to give this an A grade. I think personally I would give it a B. But I mean, like you had Neo in there. Pragmata seems really cool. Like honestly, not typically my play style, but um I could see myself trying that game out.
yeah.
Romeo is a Dead Man seems super interesting. Again, I probably won't play it. But like I kind of enjoyed watching that trailer. I thought it was interesting.
Yeah.
Uh New Silent Hill game
Yep.
and Metal Gear, the remake of Metal Gear.
Yeah.
Uh so you know, I think depending on what you're into, I mean, I could very well see this showcase being in somewhere in the A range.
I mean,
I thought it was pretty good.
you didn't even say everybody's golf hotshots, and
No, and that's a big deal too.
Yeah, I mean that's top of my list for games I'm excited for. Technically,
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was again, it very solid is my main takeaway. And definitely, yeah, definitely plenty there for again a sign of a good, I'll say a good showcase is that you can walk away with a few games that you are excited for. Like that is, you shouldn't be in the mindset that every single game is something that you're excited for. If it is, then yeah, that's a spectacular showcase.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you walk away with even 2 to 3, that's a good showcase. That means it was probably well balanced, honestly. So yeah. All right. Let's discuss Summer Game Fest. And I can start here, if you'd like.
Sure.
I saw somebody describe Summer Game Fest as an event that tries too hard. And I feel like it's a pretty perfect way to summarize the event, specifically this year in particular. I don't know about every year. I feel like, you know, with the Game Awards and Summer Game Fest, I often will have criticism around like pacing and the decision making of how they go about doing like some of their announcements and stuff like that. So it's hard for me to sometimes keep track of like when it was really good. I'm trying to continuously remind myself that this last year's Game Awards was really, really solid. And so maybe a tough act to beat. But also I remember that the year prior was not good. So you gotta keep the good with the bad. And there's plenty of games from Summer Game Fest this year that I'm excited for. Like similar to like the PlayStation Showcase, but it's such a long event, and there was also just like it was inundated with like kind of like slop games and like really, really like just whatever and like unnecessary titles. And it's frustrating because at the top of the show Jeff is like talking about how 10 of the best selling games this year, like 2 of them were made by like teams of 10 or less. And then you have like you have Clair Obscur Expedition 33, which like not less than 10 developers. I think it's like a team of 40, and was kind of like an out of nowhere success and like a massive hit upon launch. And he's like championing all that stuff. And then like, it didn't feel like we were seeing enough indies. It felt like you had to depend on Day of the Devs. You had to depend on these other like smaller hour-long showcases that just fucking rip of just top to bottom. It is just one trailer after another, after another, after another. And you have an hour to fit 30 games into a thing like Wholesome Direct, like women led games, the Latin American Games Showcase, uh, um, Southeast Asian Showcase, like these like more quote unquote niche, and they rip and actually show you like exciting and unique games. And Summer Game Fest kind of falls into the whole like it's a Souls like, it's uh it's Kojima, it's another roguelike, it's a tactical shooter, it's and it's like I don't know. It feels like the big moments
Everything
are
is a vessel for Kojima.
yeah. It just feels like the big moments are still just reserved for Capcom.
Yeah.
And Resident Evil, which was cool, but yeah, I don't know. It's like it's frustrating that like it doesn't always walk the walk, or walk the talk or whatever. And not that we have to like dive into this, but you mentioned it at the top, about what did Splitgate 2 do. The spokesperson, I don't know if he's like, I don't know what he is in relation to the game. I don't know if he's like the CEO of the company that works, or the team that works, the lead, whatever, for Splitgate 2. But he came out wearing a hat that said "Make FPS Great Again," but then showed off a battle royale.
Mm.
And it's like, yeah, okay, it's a battle royale with portals, but like, fuck, dude, like, that's you making FPS great again.
Okay, they say so.
Right, like it's just like,
Did this take place in LA?
I think so.
Yeah, that's an interesting choice.
Anyway. Wearing a ironic MAGA hat.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not even gonna touch that. Like, I don't even. It's not even that. It's literally just.
Not where I. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's literally just the fact that like, that's not. If your take on making first person shooters great again is making a battle royale, I don't think you know what it means to make something great again.
Yeah.
Whatever. Again, plenty of games that I'm excited for. I'm definitely excited to hear your take as well.
Yeah.
But overall, like, just to get out ahead of it, my letter grade for this would probably fall firmly in like the C range. Like, again, I walked away with a few games I'm excited for, but for this to be such a monumental event and for it to just not feel great is just it's something that like Jeff's got to figure out.
Yeah. I had the feeling going into this that I wasn't really going to care about it. Like, I didn't want to waste the 2 or 3 hours, whatever it was, like watching it all the way through.
Yep.
So I ended up I didn't watch it the day of, and I just looked up an article of everything that was released, and I just kind of like scrolled through it real fast. And if a bunch of stuff jumped out to me, I was going to watch it. Like, I wasn't going to watch any spoilers. I was just kind of looking for like big names that are meaningful to me. I'm not saying there weren't any big names there. And based on what I read and what I've heard and what we've talked about so far, I'm really glad I didn't waste my time. So I feel like based off of that alone, I need to give it a D or an F. And again, this is personal. This isn't like representative of how it actually was. It's just on a personal level. I didn't give a shit about it. So I would give it a D or an F. Let's give it a D minus.
Yeah, and I mean, from a showcase standpoint, right? Like, if you can't hold the attention, like, that's a bad showcase, right? Like, if you can't get people to care enough to sit through the entire thing, like that's a sign of a bad showcase. Whether it means it's too long, whether it means like whatever. And so I think that's more than fair. Like you said, it's not even necessarily the fact that like there's not enough games that you walk away liking and stuff like that.
To me, it's not that there's not enough games. It's that I mean, this happened to me. I think even with Xbox, and I did watch all of Xbox all the way through.
Mm-hmm.
I skipped some stuff. I didn't watch it the day of. So I like if I saw something I knew I wasn't going to care about, I skipped it. But like I've had so many of these showcases recently. I see a game, and it's a game that I don't typically care about, and then we'll see another trailer like 30 minutes later. I'm like, didn't we just watch this game? Like this whole like supernatural samurai gig. Every game looks exactly the fucking same.
Yeah.
It's and everything's trying to be a Soulsborne ripoff. If it's not trying to be that, I don't get it. And I don't hear people talking about these games after they come out.
Right.
So either I'm missing something, or people are just throwing shit at the wall and hoping something sticks. Um, but yeah, I don't know. Out of this list, like I knew Death Stranding was going to be there, so I didn't watch it for that. I could just watch the trailer of whatever they show after that. Um, the only other things that jumped out were Atomic Heart 2, which I'm actually pretty excited about. I started Atomic Heart and I really enjoyed it, but then just kind of like I just forgot about it.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was around the time that Starfield came out, so I started playing Atomic Heart and then started playing Starfield, and then didn't play either of them. But like that's exciting. Like I think that team is good. I think that game will be good, and it kind of makes me want to go back to Atomic Heart. Um, so that was exciting. And then just kind of like just because I have this want for split screen games. I don't know if I'll play it. I have to see more about it. But Lego Voyagers,
Mm-hmm.
it's a 2-player game, so I feel like I kind of need to be excited about it. You want to talk about what should be ripped off? Look at everything that like the Split Fiction team is doing.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have enough like couch co-op games, and nobody is like following that trend, and it's really getting annoying because I feel like that's so good.
Yeah, and Lego Voyagers is kind of like a perfect example of something that is trying to follow suit in a lot of ways. Um, and yeah, Lego Voyagers is definitely one that's like on my radar. That, and I don't know if you caught it, but Out of Words, it's like the one that's the art style is claymation maybe. But
Okay, interesting.
it gives off Unravel vibes, Unravel 2 specifically, because it's co-op.
Okay,
And you can kind of like it's like co-op platforming mostly.
was it in this? Was it in?
It was in Summer Game Fest, yeah.
That's funny because I'm looking at the IGN article and they don't even mention it.
Classic. IGN probably didn't list like half the shit. It probably really
Probably
only
not.
covered like Mafia, which don't get me wrong, very excited for,
Sure.
and actually was something that I did want to see more than, just like story. And I feel like we only got story. But yeah. Um yeah, you mentioned Atomic Heart 2. They've immediately followed that up talking about this other game, The Cube, that they're working on, which is a like an MMO effectively, where um I couldn't tell. It doesn't seem like there's a heavy emphasis necessarily on PvP. It might be more PvE. But basically, as you like every day or every so often when you enter the game, the cube that you're on will have shifted, and like you're in like a new environment, or like different aspects are like consistently changing as the world slash planet type thing that you're on shifts randomly. Uh, Pretty unique, pretty interesting. That I'm definitely intrigued and want to like see more. And just visually, like Atomic Heart 2, and now this game, The Cube. A lot of the visuals that they were showcasing just look very, very good. The games look very clean, and yeah, I'm definitely excited to see more. But yeah, a lot of the other games that like I would say I'm excited for are like I'm excited for Mafia, I'm excited for Dying Light, but like those are sequels to games that like of course like I enjoyed the others, so of course I'm going to be excited for those. I don't need the showcase to like drum up any sort of hype for me. Um, Once I've known that they're like outside of that first initial like thing, right? So that doesn't do a ton for me in the way of these types of events. I will say that the Resident Evil thing was kind of cool because like about halfway through the show, one of the leads for Resident Evil was just like, oh, we have an announcement about Resident Evil. We're letting you know that like we are working on it. You're gonna have more information soon. We don't have anything to show right now. And then like the last thing of the event was them showing off Resident Evil 9. So it was kind of like a nice bait and switch kind of.
That's cool.
And the Resident Evil games, just again like their engine that they run them on, like thinking back to Village, right? Like it looks so good, just from a visual standpoint. I'm not even like a big Resident Evil head. I enjoy watching it more than I've never played them. So take that for what it's worth. But definitely, that was definitely a cool moment. But yeah, I mean, outside of that, the entire event just was kind of like flat, in my opinion.
Yeah.
All right. In an effort to keep moving so we don't go too long, Day of the Devs immediately follows Summer Game Fest. And in typical Day of the Devs fashion, I think it kind of just continued to deliver on what it always does, which is to kind of showcase some more unique and kind of do the things that I wish Summer Game Fest and like the main show would actually do. The nice thing about Day of the Devs is that with each game that they show, they normally give a bit more time to the developers to like talk more about like the passion behind it. In a somewhat unfortunate twist, I would say, a lot of the games that were at Day of the Devs this year are sequels, which is kind of a bummer. Because the thing I love about Day of the Devs is normally seeing just like a brand new idea from potentially an unknown team. But they did show off like Moonlighter 2, and I loved the first Moonlighter, so obviously I'm excited for the sequel there. But two games that I just real quick want to shout out that they showed. One was called Relooted, which is a game about like reclaiming African artifacts from all like the other countries that have basically stolen them and just like put them on display in museums and like trying to return them. And so you have to like case these joints basically and figure out how you're going to like steal the artifacts back and stuff like that. I don't know. Thought that was really cool and like a really fun and like also kind of like a, think about these things, outside of video games. But I really liked that and the look of it. And then the other one was Tire Boy, where you are like half tire, half man, and you like seem to be in this like big open world, and you like basically when you sprint, you just start rolling, and then you can like traverse areas and stuff like that. Again, one of those just like these people really had an idea and started throwing shit at it, and it works, and it looks really cool, honestly. So I'm excited to see more like that. Those are the types of games that I really love Day of the Devs for, where it's just like what if you were a monkey, but you lived in Chicago and weren't in a zoo, and now you have to do life as a monkey, and it's just like, okay, sure, why not? And then you watch it and you're like, wow, this actually looks really fucking fun.
What if we make a game where we unpack a box into a house?
Yeah, bro, those are great. What are you? There was one of those. There was a packing your car for moving, and you have to like figure out how to like perfectly. I don't know if that was. I think that was at one of these events. I don't know which one, but you have to like perfectly pack your car and like slot stuff into like drawers and stuff after you've already packed it, and it's like.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, okay, sure.
I hate doing this shit in real life, but in a video game?
Brother, you better believe it.
So as you know, but the audience doesn't know, I didn't watch Day of the Devs. Mostly just a time then I forgot kind of deal. So I'm excited to hear there were a handful of games there, and that's something I definitely want to get caught up on. I'm thinking about just waiting until like Tribeca starts. There's another indie game. Annapurna do one
I think they
usually.
do, yeah.
So I might just like binge all those at once because then like I want to make my indie list, which is about the only list I keep track of at this point.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely that's definitely fair. It it definitely falls flatter than other previous Day of the Devs in my opinion. Like I probably put it in like a B minus to B range.
Okay.
Whereas like sometimes Day of the Devs is like A plus. Like it is the show.
Yeah.
But yeah. I mean I would also just as like an overall encompassing thing before we jump to Xbox. Again, we're not even touching like wholesome, um, women led, Southeast Asian, um, Latin American Games Showcase. Like all of those are also dedicated to like indie developers or games that are like specifically inspired by those regions and stuff like that. And again, just like a ton more unique experiences and um again, like indies more often than not are just like the most unique and like fun ideas, and those were the showcases that really did those types of games justice, in my opinion. So um, they're all only about like an hour long. Day of the Devs is only about like an hour long, and they're all definitely worth giving some time to see what else is out there. Because yeah, you can depend on Summer Game Fest to just showcase the like really really big games and not give really all that much attention to the smaller stuff. All right, one more showcase. Xbox. Give me your thoughts.
I did not expect this to hit on so many levels, to be honest. Um, I just thought like game after game after game. Like I said, I mean, there were ones that I skipped. I knew it wasn't gonna be for me. Namely, all the I saw Final Fantasy pop up and I said, "Fuck!" I thought I was gonna be able to get away without seeing this.
At an Xbox
Uh,
event?
just, um, I thought it was great. Let me see. Well, I guess let's talk about the elephant in the room first, I guess. But they announced the Xbox Ally and Ally X.
Mm-hmm.
So, uh, in the Xbox theme of horrible names, um,
What?
seem it seems pretty nice though. It to me it's so awkward knowing that Asus is making it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's part of me that really wants it to be like Microsoft hardware.
Yeah.
But then there's also this massive part of me that knows it's for the best.
Right.
um, Xboxes and Microsoft are really focusing on the software, which everyone seems to be receiving very well, which is important because nobody else can make the software. Um, so allow your PC partners to make the hardware. I think it's a smart move. It just bothers me.
Yeah.
Um,
It to me it screams this is like the way forward for Xbox 2, honestly, as it
yeah,
pertains to hardware. Like
yeah, we
I'm
could.
really curious. Yeah, this is probably something that we could really spend a lot of time on, but I'm really curious, like just watching this and the fact that like this is an open this is an open device. So like it's not just a Game Pass device. While it will be great for that, right? Yeah, obviously. Sarah Bond literally calls attention to like GOG, um, Steam, Epic Game Store, like you can put all of those stores and literally like the commitment of, your game library anywhere and everywhere,
Mhm.
all in one place together, and no matter where the games are. And that's, I mean, their unwavering commitment to that um, was really really great in my opinion, and was really showcased throughout the entire show.
Yeah. This showcase really made me realize one thing, and I think that we're we'll maybe see one more generation of Xbox hardware.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think we're going to see any more Xbox hardware.
Yep.
And I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. I think, I guess it sucks because it's a divergence from the regular, but I think if they can nail the platform down, nail the games down, you
Yeah.
know, you'll still have like they'll still sell like an Xbox piece of hardware, but it's going to be Asus or Dell or Lenovo making it, and it's going to have an Xbox button. It's going to, probably be cheaper than building a PC still. It's just not going to be Microsoft manufacturing it anymore.
Yep.
Um, and maybe that'll be the case moving forward. Maybe we don't get another generation out of it, but I think them really committing to having a partner manufacture the handheld uh, kind of moves things in that direction.
Yep. 100%.
But it's cool. It looks nice. Justine happened to be watching with me, and she's like, "Wow, that even looks like something that I'd be comfortable playing."
There you go.
So yeah,
The Justine stamp of approval.
there it is.
Let's go.
And then they were showing Hollow Knight Silk Song on it. And she's like, "That game looks fun."
Uh-oh.
So, yeah. Now I'm gonna get her to play that game. So good news, it'll be on Game Pass.
Has she by chance played the first Hollow Knight?
I don't think so, but I'm gonna make her try it.
Yeah.
I think that's probably on Game Pass too. But
yeah.
So yeah, finally have an in air quotes Xbox handheld.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
People seem to be pretty excited about it.
Definitely was cool. Yeah, just to kind of echo what you're saying, the entire showcase really did just hit. And they showed off a lot of really great stuff. I know you huff and puff and fast forward through it, but them bringing Final Fantasy, even if it's not for you, that's a massive pull to work on.
Deal.
Yeah, to work on getting that game over there. The fact that they got to be the ones to show off that Persona 4 is getting a remake, which almost hit my wish list because I said I wanted more Persona. I was talking like new, but they showed off Persona 4 Revival, and then I think the Persona team tweeted out or put out a statement that they know people are asking it, and they are working on the next Persona installment, so that counts for something, I guess. But yeah, I mean, again, this kind of touches on the same feeling as the PlayStation 1 to some degree, where it's there was just a lot of different stuff shown. It wasn't all just a Soulsborne game. And trying to lean into that.
I think in the interest of time, I'm just going to kind of rip through some stuff I was really excited about.
Please.
Sorry, now I got to scroll up to the top. I think at the top of the list for sure is Clockwork Revolution.
Yeah, I knew that you were going to be all about that.
It's one of those games I keep forgetting about.
Yeah.
And I know they kind of, joked about it in the showcase of it'll come eventually. I'm hoping that based on how much they showed, it'll be somewhat soon. I imagine early 2026. But that game looks incredible. I can't wait to play that game. Let's see. I was very excited to see a new Double Fine IP with Keeper.
Yeah.
It looks strange. But that's kind of Double Fine's thing. I mean, Psychonauts was strange too, but that game was a ton of fun. So I'm excited for that. And it comes out in October. So that's awesome. And again, in Xbox, the spirit of Xbox, they not only advertised that everything was going to be on Game Pass, but also everything was going to be on that Play Anywhere.
Right.
So that's cool. The Outer Worlds 2, I'm very excited for. I was also very excited for the Outer Worlds, and I didn't play it, but it's just one of those games that I'm glad is out there.
You should play Outer Worlds.
I hope I want to.
I really should. It's really, really good. I played it last year and literally was like, oh no, did somebody already make a good Starfield ahead of Starfield, and it's like it's Obsidian, so like it's it's like
Close,
the whole
right?
like it's the whole like Fallout New Vegas thing where it's like they made the best quote unquote Fallout in a lot of people's minds, and so I think Starfield does more than Outer Worlds, but Outer Worlds is like a very, very good RPG and it's a lot of fun.
But see, like
So
that's good for me. I don't need it to do that much. That's the reason I lost interest in Starfield. It's just too much.
it's definitely a more contained RPG, which is great. Like you can finish it in probably 20 hours. I mean,
Oh,
hell,
okay. Well, that
I
makes
did
me
a
feel
second
better.
playthrough just to get the finish the game on hard trophy. You can play it as a pacifist and finish the game in like an hour through like various exploits, which was a blast. Honestly, obviously after playing and enjoying the game for
Yeah,
a regular old playthrough, but yeah, Outer Worlds definitely would
yeah.
recommend playing the first one. I'm also excited for the second one.
I really need to play it. Um, yeah, really excited for that. I'm glad they did a deep dive again. Just I don't really need to watch
Yeah.
that. Um, Aphelion.
Yep.
Every time I see a Don't Nod game,
Yep.
I just get excited about it.
Yep.
So I'm excited for that. Let's see. Sorry, just scrolling.
You're good. I don't know if
High
you're.
on Life 2 looks cool, but I'm not going to play it just out of premise.
Sure.
And then complete dark horse of a game that just looks absolutely insanely good to me is Mudong Two Hearts.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I was like, oh my god, somebody's finally making Splinter Cell.
Yep.
And then it turned into like a little bit strange, kind of supernatural, like kind of Kojima-esque.
Yeah, a little bit.
But I'm excited about that. That game looked really cool. Not something I was expecting to see. But certainly that's going to be my dark horse for this. Um, and then There Are No Ghosts at the Grand looked really cool.
Yep.
I think that's an interesting concept.
Yeah.
And again, if it's going to be on Game Pass,
Right.
I think that's why I get so excited about the Xbox showcases, because it's like I don't need to be that excited to try to play a game because I know I'm not going to have to buy it.
Right.
But yeah, that's pretty much it. I was happy to see that there's Indiana Jones DLC. I need to play that game before that comes out.
Yeah.
But no, overall, I would give this personally probably an A.
Yeah. Yep. I would say it firmly falls into like an A- or an A. Yeah, I mean, you basically you listed out almost like half of the stuff shown, so that kind of gives you an idea, right? And
It's a
just
lot coming from me.
yeah, really, truly. And just to like add, I think one that you didn't touch on, that I particularly am excited to see more about, Beast of Reincarnation.
Is that
I
the
think,
Game Freak game?
yeah, I think we knew
I just-
Game Freak was working on something else, and I saw Game Freak pop up, and I was like, "Whoa, that's
I
interesting."
didn't see Game Freak pop up.
It popped up at the beginning, like and for anybody who doesn't know, Game Freak is the people behind all the Pokemon games. Like their logo comes up right at the beginning of the boot up for all of them. So that was just really interesting to see, and I don't know if I'm fully sold on the game yet, but it's something that like has piqued my interest to such a level that I'm definitely excited to get to see more about it. Hopefully. Also, real quick, just want to shout out that Anemo game. It looks like what Pow World should have tried to do to be distinct enough to not draw too many Pokemon comparisons and receive a cease and desist.
Right.
But
that makes sense.
this seems so close to Pow World. Like not so close, but it seems close to Pow World, and Pow World's close to Pokemon. Which I thought was funny.
Is Power World gonna sue them?
You're right. Like maybe.
That'd be funny. It would suck, but it'd be funny.
but yeah, that's another one that I'm like really excited to see more more from like the various aspects, like if there's, you know, all the things of a typical creature collecting type RPG, and does it take elements from Power World in the sense of like, do you build a base and like all that stuff, and is there resource collecting and things like that. So it seemed much more casual, I would say, and like much more like exploration than necessarily combat and stuff like that, but nonetheless something that I am another one that definitely piqued my interest.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would agree. This is a firm A minus to an A overall.
Yeah.
The only downfall for the showcase, in my opinion, was getting me hyped up for that last announcement, all for it to be Black Ops 32. That pissed me off.
I said the same thing to Justine when that came up, and Phil Spencer, which Phil Spencer looks great, by the way. Hopefully it's not Ozempic. He when he came on, he's like, we have one more announcement, and I looked at Justin, I was like, it's gonna be Call of Duty. And then like it kind of was like a little strange, like, oh, maybe not.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's gonna get old. If that's gonna be like Xbox's one more thing moving forward, that's gonna get really old.
Yeah, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Almost anything else could have been the one more thing from the list of world premieres, and I would have been, you know, way more okay with it. Yeah.
Udon could have been the one more thing.
Right.
Like, I understand it's not an Xbox Game Studios game, but it was cool.
Yeah. Yeah. But for me, and obviously for you as well, a pretty firm winner showcase of the whole weekend.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I would say as a whole, you know, if you take into account some of the other events, again, like I really want to stress those like smaller ones that again are under the Summer Game Fest umbrella. Those are the ones that kind of make up for what I felt like was a pretty middling main show. Like the weekend as a whole for me would still get like a firm like B plus as a whole, but yeah, it's hard to ignore that the main show just like did not deliver when it, you know, tries to champion the fact that it's like a better E3 than E3 could have ever been. And it's like, well, or are you starting to just become E3, you know? Any final thoughts from you?
No.
All right. Well, that'll do it for this episode. Like I said, might have an opportunity to try and dive a bit deeper into some of these, maybe focus in on and discuss some of these games a bit more. I know there were certainly plenty of games that I didn't even touch on, and I'm sure there were still some for you as well, or anything for us to just peel back the layers on and discuss more. So definitely stay tuned for that in the coming weeks. Also, a bunch of other showcases are happening, so other stuff that's probably worth checking out that we might also discuss. But that'll do it for this week. You can go over to the YouTube channel and go into the comment section and let us know your thoughts on really the whole weekend as a whole. You know, what did you like? What didn't you like? Which games are you the most excited for? If you could also leave us a rating or review wherever you listen to the podcast, that would be great. And last but not least, as always, if you could share the podcast with a friend, that would be greatly appreciated. Other than that, we will talk to you next week.